why do you need to be married to the single source? Internet these days is literally in the air all around because it's wireless, it's Wi-Fi, cellular, satellite these days. It's all around you, but you're not allowed to connect to it. And not for technological reasons, because your phone can connect to all these networks. It's for administrative reasons, because that's how the industry is established. And so that's this fundamental paradigm shift you want to pursue, to just allow to access everything around you at all times. And by doing that, it enables a lot of different optimizations.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Anton Shmakov. He's the CEO at MotionRay. Anton, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kelsey.
Great to have you on the show today. So, Anton, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you mentioned, I am CEO of MotionRay, a company in telecom space where we fix people's internet connectivity. As for myself, kind of have a story of different places I lived in. So I originally born in Belarus, moved after high school. I moved and studied in Moscow. After that, I moved to New York, finished my master's in New York. Throughout all of that, I had a career in tech, specifically as a software engineer. So I've done a lot of different startups. I've done big companies. After I lived in New York for a few years, I moved to the Bay Area. I lived in San Francisco for 6-7 years, worked at LinkedIn, worked at Google. And so I saw the tech world in and out, from the smallest possible companies of 3 people to the company size of Google. And now, as soon as I became father to my now 3-year-old and now a second daughter of a half-year-old, I decided it's time for me to start a company as well. So now I'm way running both family and the company. That's where I come from.
Well, that's a fantastic history kind of why you got to where you are now and kind of how you did. So tell me a little bit more about MotionRay.
Well, so yes, we founded MotionRay with my college friend, Alex, back in 2019. And when we started, it was a little bit different company. So our product was designed to provide wireless wearable cameras for events, like sport events and music events. So you would, simplest way to understand it, you would be able to put a GoPro and have it broadcast quality stream comments from it incompatible with a live broadcast, which has requirements to be under 100 to 100 milliseconds, otherwise it's too late. And it's actually quite a hard problem because, like, if you stream from your phone to your laptop, it's very easy, direct, no latency whatsoever, it's going to be perfect quality. But if you do it to arena where there's like 50,000 people surrounded and the environment is always changing, all of a sudden this wireless becomes very, very big problem. So that's why if you look at a hockey game these days, where you find these wearable cameras, like on referees, sometimes they put it or anywhere else, they very rarely cut into it live because of this problem. It's very hard to get a stable stream without having a microwave on the shoulder. So we solved that. We had the product for that. We actually delivered few events with under 100 milliseconds, full HD, 60 FPS video, so it was great. The problem was that our product was designed for the live events, obviously, and our go-to-market date was March 2020. If you remember what happened in March 2020, there were no live events starting at that point. So that's when we started exploring. It's kind of like sort of blessing in disguise in one ways, because it forced us to explore what else can we do. Because we had multiple different ideas, and that specific product was for us kind of beachhead market from which we wanted to grow. And then over the 2020, there were a lot of iterations, a lot of explorations, and that's how ultimately we landed to the product we have today, which we started pushing early 2021, which is basically same technological insight about parallelization of different networks, but implemented at a way broader scale, which is basically anybody who ever needs internet can use our services. Basically, any business and any human on earth could be our potential customer now.
And then doing a little background research on you, is what you're talking about MRNet or MrNet?
Yes, the product we sell today is known as MrNet or MRNet, which stands for MotionRay Networks.
Yeah, fantastic. So, besides from kind of being, it sounds like a leader in the space for, telecommunications, talk to me a little bit about how MotionRay has been able to, stand out from its competition.
Well, the way I think about it is, if you think about any established industry over the last 50 years, if you see the disruption never comes from within. Like always, the more established industries, the more established the protocols and divisions happens, and basically nobody crosses the lines, and everybody preserves the status quo, slowly iterating on it. And our approach coming from outside, we see how it can be done differently. And a very specific thing, which we kind of hone home, is this idea that when you connect to the internet today, you always have this relationship, one-to-one relationship. So you have your ISP or your telecom, all those big names, and you always you have this one contract, you married to it, and you completely this one-to-one path of connectivity. What our idea is, which seems to be obvious from outskirts, is that why do you need to be married to the single source? Internet these days is literally in the air all around because it's wireless, it's Wi-Fi, cellular, satellite these days. It's all around you, but you're not allowed to connect to it. And not for technological reasons, because your phone can connect to all these networks. It's for administrative reasons, because that's how the industry is established. And so that's this fundamental paradigm shift you want to pursue, to just allow to access everything around you at all times. And by doing that, it enables a lot of different optimizations, basically putting the customer forefront, showing that the customer experience, whether it's quality of connectivity, whether it's price, should be first, and everything else is going to be actually fair market competition afterwards. And that's basic. At the nutshell, that's what we do.
Yeah. So, kind of talking about your clients, and adaptability, it sounds like from March of 2020, are those two some of the reasons why you think that MotionRay has been able to scale successfully over the past 2 years?
So definitely kind of getting the broader market obviously opened up a lot of those opportunities, because yes, originally kind of were quite narrow and specific market you were going after got completely dead because of the events outside of our control. So getting into the industry and have a product which is relevant to everybody definitely helped. That said, it also can be a problem, because if you have too many different areas to pursue, then you can very easily lose focus from one perspective, from the product development perspective to the business development perspective. So there have been definitely challenges about how do you, with all the sea of opportunities, how do you define those which actually worth pursuing short term at very least? Because when you start up life, you don't have those 2-3 year deals. You have to make sure that you deliver within the next few months, otherwise you're done. So answer is definitely relevant, but I think it's more complicated on like how do you actually design where you go.
Yeah. Certainly, I mean, the startup and, starting your own company, it's not a linear line. So that adaptability is so important. And like you said, it sounds like that's what, why MotionRay has been able to be successful. So kind of talking about the industry and in the space, pivoting a little bit, are there any misconceptions in the telecommunications and IT, field that you've seen over the last few years, or in all of your experience in the space?
Do you mean misconceptions from the customer perspective, or would you say from the industry insider's perspective?
Which do you think?
Well, it definitely there is some misalignment happens. Is because the industry is one of the oldest and the least disrupted historically. So there are definitely still some of the approaches and business practices implemented today, they still standing true for the last 30 to 40 years, which you can it's a problem. And this problem manifests itself if you look at the consumer reviews of the services. The telecom industry is always markedly scored last among, for the last few decades, for this exact reason, because practices which have been established are not aligned to what consumers, just people trying to use the services, expect to receive. And that I think is the biggest misalignment between the buyer and seller side. But as far as the misconceptions go, so I think okay, now kind of, it's struggling to pick is the right one.
Yeah.
There's many smaller things, but like to give you a short answer, I don't think I have it though.
Okay. No, I think that's a great misconception too. And I imagine, a lot of people were thinking the prior and, being able to talk through that. I think that's a really great insight. So say people want to learn more about MotionRay, learn more about MRNet. Where would they go to learn more?
To our website or to our LinkedIn page. Website is mrnet.us, and you can get it from there.
Sweet. Awesome. Great. Well, Anton, this has been a great conversation. I think it was super insightful, an interesting conversation at that. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be on Business Ninjas today.
Sounds great. Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you for inviting me.